let's go ahead and set up our first campaign. So once you're logged in and on the search campaign tab on the left, you'd click on new campaign. Now, depending on the type of website you are, you would choose one of the goals. So if you're running an e-commerce, sales would be a more appropriate option. If you're running a service business, you want more leads to come to your email, then leads would be a good option. If you're just looking for brand awareness, website traffic, or product and brand consideration may be good options. Even brand awareness may be a good option if you're looking for brand awareness and reaching maximum number of people. If you're promoting your app store and obviously promoting map listings, then obviously local listings. I'm going to go ahead and choose leads because zenacademy.com.au wants leads. I'm going to go ahead and click search. And I want to optimize for conversions on the lead form. So I want as many people to fill out the lead form so that I can then call them up and obviously go ahead and convert them into customers. Now, along with the lead form submission, I can also choose phone calls because I want people to call my business as well. And what it'll do is it'll let you set up a phone number that you can go ahead and set up. But I'm just going to choose the lead form submissions right now and continue. Now, once I'm on this page, I get a lot of other options. So we'll go through these options once again. Let's name our campaign C1 for now. Now, as you can see, Google wants me to advertise on both search and display network, and I would normally go ahead and uncheck the display network. The reason I do this is because every campaign that you set up should be dedicated on a certain network. So if you're setting up you set up a campaign, you have it either only search or only display. And the reason you do this is because it lets you optimize based on the type of network it is. And so if it is a search network, you can optimize based on that. If it is a display network, then you optimize based on that. And that's usually a good practice that you would go ahead and do. Once I click on show more settings, I can choose the start date and end date. So I start from today, do not have an end date because I want to continue running this campaign. We'll come back to the campaign URL options in a little bit later in the course. Just about the how you'd go about setting the template, and also the how you'd go about targeting the UTM parameters. Now, dynamic search ad setting lets you target relevant searches automatically based on your website. And what I like to do at the early part of the campaign is to leave this empty. So I'll leave that there. And I'd like to schedule the ads, whether all days or whether on weekdays or whatever setting you want to enable. So for an example, you can have Mondays to Fridays, start at the business hours of, let's say, 8:45 to, let's say, 5:15, right? And that would be your setting. Now you can choose to have custom schedule on Saturday and Sunday. So say maybe maybe you're only working let's say you're only working Saturdays for an example, and you're working only 4 hours. So that might be 8:45 to let's say 1 o'clock maybe. Yep. And that's how you set up the ad schedule. Now, depending on how you, depending on whether, people call your business or they fill out a form or when they are on your website the most, some of the information you get from Google Analytics, you can set up these options. Another name for this scheduling is called day parting. And, it is a very effective method to be able to control your budget, to be able to control your conversions and the type of conversions you get. I'm going to go ahead and remove these, and I'm going to let it continue all days, 24 hours, just for the purposes of setting up this test campaign. Now, in terms of location, I can either do Australia or I can simply look up Melbourne, Victoria. So you can see that that's that many people that I'll be able to reach. So I'm going to do that. And again, if you have multiple locations, you can go ahead and, you can even go Sydney, and then you would have the Sydney location that you can target as well. Then languages, leave it as English unless you're specifically targeting people speaking different languages. In relation to the audience network, because I'm only going to first set up a campaign based on keywords, I'm going to leave this audience campaigns empty, or audience part of the selection empty. I'm going to specify a budget, which is, let's say, $15 $15 a day. So that's your daily budget. So it's going to spend $15, and depending on what you pay for the click, it's going to use that, and eventually going to go ahead and utilize that and finish the campaign if it reaches that budget. Now, in terms of bidding, there's an advanced video that will talk about different types of bidding, but for the purposes of starting out the campaign, I am going to leave it to conversions, and I'm going to set a target of $15 a conversion. So what that means is I'm saying that for every $15 that Google spends, I'd like to have a form being filled. So target cost per action, which is target CPA, is basically sets bid to help get as many conversions as possible at or below the target cost per action you set. So if I set $15, you're telling Google that I want somebody to fill out a form below $15 or up to $15. So if my daily budget is $15 and my target CPA is $15, I'm expecting at least one lead. I'm telling Google, give me at least one lead a day. Now, there are some more advanced bidding strategies. The one that I usually start out with, it's manual CPC. But for the purposes of this one, we want Google to manage this for us at $15 as the total money you want to pay for each form fill. In terms of conversions, you can either choose conversion action for this campaign, or you can leave it to the account level. If you have a very diverse range of campaigns in your account, you can choose conversion actions for this campaign, and you can choose the actual conversions that you set up in the step one. When we set up the conversion tracking in the first part. But if you're tracking it across the site, then you obviously go use the account level including conversion settings, because you would have set up many different conversions. So you'd obviously be able to count any conversion that happens through this one. The ad rotation is when you have multiple ads, whether you want to optimize that rotation itself, whether you want your best performing ads to continue running, or you want your all the ads to rotate evenly, and that's the option you have. But normally you wouldn't touch these options when you start out. You want to optimize based on the best performing ads at the start. So again, some of these options will go into a bit more detail when we individually go into these settings. Ad extensions, again, you can set up ad extensions, which will go into detail. I'll skip that part now. Lead form extensions, skip that part now. We'll go into the details of this. So go save and continue. And once it saves and continues, takes me to the ad groups. So now I've got to set up ad group, which again we will come back. And so I'm going to skip all of this just so that I can publish my campaign. And now I've got my campaigns under the search campaign. So if I go to campaigns, I've got my C1 set up. Now let's quickly have a look at what type of settings are available. So if I click on C1, you'd see that I've already got one ad group here, and I click on this more details button here, I'll be able to see all the settings that I've set up. So start today, no end date, runs all day, runs in Sydney and Melbourne for English speaking people. The objective is to get as many leads as possible with a target CPU of $15 and a budget of $15 at the top. It's a search campaign, and obviously the bid strategy, as soon as it start learning, the system will start learning, and hopefully it'll continue going down that path. So that's the nitty-gritty of setting up the campaign. We'll go into the individual bits as we continue down through the course. It's very straightforward to set up the search campaign with this specific targeting, and now we will dive into the details about each search setting.